Stitching May or Megan here to do an update video. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. I'm glad you came back to see me and I hope you enjoy the video. If you are new to my channel, this channel is mostly about cross stitch with some life stitched in there. Usually mostly about cross stitch, sometimes mostly about life. Anyway, so it's been 3 weeks since my last video. And I don't have a whole ton to show you. Not even half a ton. Life. So my son is ADHD and we have been adjusting his medicine, our doctor, and we feel like his medicine's too strong for him. So we're trying to taper off and then change medicines, and that's been a whole ordeal with insurance companies and trying to explain to them that there's a reason we have more than one medication ordered in the last month. We're hoping we found the fit. We're starting a new medicine this weekend. Hopefully this will be the one. Anyway, so, and then my sister and my brother both decided to be hospitalized for cardiac workups within like 4 days of each other. They're fine. Everything came out clean. My sister ended up needing a heart cath and my brother did not. After my sister had her heart cath, I wanted her to stay with me, so she did, because, well, that's just what I do. I'm a little hen. I worry and I peck and I keep after people. Anyway, the nurse in me. So while she was here, I didn't do a lot of stitching. I ended up playing a video game with her. Guys, if you have any pent up frustration, I can strongly recommend a game called Burnout. Specifically on our system, it's Burnout Paradise. It's a very old game. You can get it for really cheap. The whole premise of the game is to wreck your car and see how much damage you can rack up. There are little events called road rage where you purposely run people off the road. Great for any frustration you may have. And we got kind of addicted to the game and played it way too much together, but had a blast. So that cut into my stitching time. I don't want to say I've lost my stitchy bug. It's just been, things have just been busy. I did pick up a little crochet yesterday just because I have no reason. Just every so often I like to crochet. I've always kind of dabbled in crochet. I've got a blanket that I've been making, or Afghan, I guess, that I've been making my son for 3 years. It was supposed to be a light blanket. Now it's the size of like my king size. Well, not even close. It's the width of my king size bed. And then I make dishcloths and they just sit in a stack. Like I don't do anything with the dishcloths. They just sit in a stack and I'm like, hey, look how many dishcloths I made. So I kind of did that last night, just because it was something to do with my hands, but it didn't involve I don't know, stitching's required too much focus lately, I think is what it is. Anyway, so speaking of not being able to focus, I've only really worked on 2 projects. I have no new starts, which is surprising. Ellen kept me from cheating and having a new start. I'll explain that in a minute. And no finishes. I do have some haul, and then that's it. And then a gift. Let's just jump into my whips, because that's what you're here for, right? So again, if my husband happens to be watching this video with my son, stop. I'll start off with my Bird Keeper by the Good Housewife. I'll insert what it will look like here, and if I'm able to get a screen grab, because goodness knows I forgot to get a before picture, I'll insert that as well to show where I was before. This is stitched on some 28 count even weave that I hand dyed myself with just some rip dye. I worked more on this tree. That's really it. Just work on the tree. This is stitched in the DMC that is suggested on the chart. It is charted in MPI silks. I don't prefer MPI silk. I don't prefer silk really. But I'm definitely not a big NPI person because they're pretty much solid. So I just go with the DMC equivalent. That's me. You do you. That's what this cutter needs. More of you do you, boo. Anyway, so there that is. Not like I'm loving stitching this. So this has been my distraction piece because I've mainly been working on my son's piece that's going to be gifted that he has no clue that I'm working on. And that is an Among Us piece that I got off Etsy. Among Us is a video game, a little tablet game that he likes to play. It's a murder mystery. And this is what this will look like when it's finished. Same thing about a before picture. If I have one, I'll insert it. This is where I currently am. So I finished the purple guy, the turquoise guy, and I've just got to fill in the orange guy. Skellington. This is stitched on 32 count Yule by Picture This Plus. This is supposed to be a Christmas fabric, red and green, but to me that looks all murdery. So that's why I chose that. So I got called off there's a piece of fuzz. I got called off last Saturday, and we went to my in-laws' house, and my nephew was there, and they were in a room playing, so I was trying to sneak and stitch on this, and then he walked in, and he's like, what are you stitching on? Is that Baby Yoda? I don't know why he thought it was Baby Yoda. I guess the green maybe. I said, no, I'm stitching on a tree, and he's like, okay, and he goes back in his room, and I very quickly, because I had this one with me, flipped around the projects without him knowing, because I knew he was going to try to sneak back in. And sure enough, he snuck back in and grabbed my project and looked, and it was the tree. I don't think he noticed that the color was different of the fabric or that my grime guard is completely different. But whatever. I don't know that he even saw it. I think he just saw that I was trying to keep him from seeing what I was stitching on, and that brought his attention to it. So, nonetheless, this is either going to be his birthday gift, probably Christmas gift. I'd like for it to be a birthday gift, though. We'll see. I've got to buckle down and stitch more. Just have to. Which brings me to the piece that I almost cheated and started. In my last video, I asked you guys to vote for me to either start JBW Designs. Did I say that right there? I did. Usually I get tongue-tied. Birds and Berries. Which is a lot bigger than it looks. Like, this ends up being 9.4 by 7.2 on 28 count linen. It's 132 wide by 100 stitches high. They just put on these little bitty cards, and you think it's a weekend stitch, and it's not a weekend stitch. But anyway, vote between this one and then this Quaker Samplings 3 by Ellen Chester, also known as With My Needle. Guys, look at that. So the vote ended up being 6-3. 9 of you voted. 6 of you voted for the Quaker Samplings. So this is the one that I'll start. So because you guys voted for this one, I had to get the thread for it. And originally I was going to stitch it in this Threadworks Overdyed Floss 10051, also called Wine Castle. It's a beautiful color. Beautiful, beautiful color. However, when I was looking for this floss, I found, and I don't know the actual name of this one, I'll have to look it up. 10420 instead, which is more of a darker burgundy color. And y'all, when this came in, I was struggling hard not to start it immediately. But I wanted to be honest and tell you guys what your votes were before I started it. Cross Stitch Power Hour, Ellen Reed. I messaged her and told her, I'm about to start this. And she said, no, don't. And told me to work on my son's piece more and wait and show you guys first. And because she's the boss of me, I listened. So this will eventually be stitched on this 36 count no name fabric. When I purchased the pattern, it came as a kit with the fabric, and then I had to get the I think somebody just had it kitted up in their stash and they sold it. Or found it at a estate sale and sold it. I don't know. But it'll eventually be stitched on this white. It's not really white. It's almost an ecru. Can you see how it has a bit of a off-white color to it? See, it kind of matches the... I'm going to show the pattern. The off-white up here. Maybe an antique white. We're going to call it antique white. I think that's going to be so pretty together. When I do start this berries and bead, I will start it with the rest of the Swan Castle on this 25 count random even weave. Let me look at the actual name of this 10420, just in case you're curious. Give me just a second. So I listened to Ellen and did not start the new piece. I don't know when I will start it. Now I've kind of told myself that I can't start it until I finish my son's piece. But then if that's going to be close to Chris, I don't know. We'll see. Red Velvet is the name of it. Red Velvet. And guys, it's just such a really pretty burgundy color. It's got some, I mean, very, very modest variation, but there is some. It's pretty much the same. It's not, it's tonal variegations. There we go. And that is it as far as updates stitch-wise. Now, I do have a gift to show you. Stitcherella messaged me, and I had shown a fabric, excuse me, allergy season, guys. I thought it had skipped me. I so thought it had skipped me. And this last week, oh, they've been bothering me. I tried to mix the word bother and bugging. Bothering me. Anyway, I had shown a fabric that I had purchased from Sammy J's daughter when she did some of her fabric dyeing over the summer. And then I was going to stitch a dragonfly on it. And she said it made her think of this fabric that she had in her stash that she had stitched on and wouldn't use. And then I was welcome to the fabric if I was willing to frog out the stitching. And I said, sure, of course, thank you. So she sent me this beautiful fabric. Guys, I almost don't wonder about the stitching. Look how pretty that is. But I don't know what pattern it was. But it's so pretty. Look at the different colors. It's not Zweigart, so I don't know who dyed it. I don't know the name of the fabric or anything. But it's pretty. I'll find something appropriate to stitch on that. I'm seeing like a fairy or a dragonfly. I have plenty of dragonflies, right? And then, it's something I forgot to show you, speaking of dragonflies, last week. And I had it in my bag, too. I got 2 needle minders from Stitchnbutton. I got this beautiful dragonfly. Look at that, guys. This is the acrylic. It's like the plastic. Look how pretty. Look at those colors. Oh, so beautiful. And then I got this huge black cat and moon. I mean, guys, look. It's big. It's as big as my palm, but it's so cute. I couldn't resist. And the magnets hold through, even though it's that big, because her magnets are just amazing. This reminds me somewhat of Prairie Schoolers, but then it also reminds me of those, I'm going to say old, but that's not the right word because I don't like using the word old. My sister and my brother being sick has made me realize how old I'm getting, so I don't like the word old anymore. Retro, vintage cartoons. But I love it. This is probably something specific, and I'm sure you guys will message me and tell me exactly what this comes from, but just in case you want her information, you can freeze frame here. She's on Etsy and Facebook. I tend to go through Facebook more than I do her Etsy. And she's also on Instagram. And she's on Flosstube. Stitchnbutton there too. Funny story. I don't know if I've shared this story before. A few years ago, Lori and I did a video from the Primitive Society Needleworkers retreat in, at the time it was in Marietta. We did not go to the official retreat, but we did go to the shop they had, and we just stayed in a hotel and did our own little retreat with she and Gay. We did a video. There was a lot of laughing and a lot of bloopers in that video. I'll link to it below. As I'm saying this, the reason I'm telling that story is because I purchased a needle minder and spoke with the needle minder vendor at that shop, and never really thought more about it. I showed the video, showed the needle minder in the video. In fact, I think Gay had gotten a counting pen, and we were joking about how it was going to eat my dragonfly. Anyway, or what did she get? Anyway, she got a lizard, and it was going to eat my dragonfly is what it was. Fast forward to many years later, I'm looking on Vic's shop, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's that needle minder that I love so much that I got at that retreat. And then I looked, it was her. She was at the retreat, and we had met each other. Then didn't register anything, and then later on became friends and got even closer. So it's kind of funny how we met. Fate put us in our path twice. They're like, no, you're gonna have to know each other. Fate was like, you're gonna have to know each other. That was a really long story. See, I'm so distractible lately. So, haul. While I was in my crazy buying spree of my last video, I fell in love with this book. I saw it in an auction with 3 other books that was at an unreal steal of a price, and I was bidding on it, and then my son and I were playing Clue, or about to play Clue. We were setting it up, and I just said, let me get this bid, and then we'll play. And then I was answering a question about the game, looked back right as the bid ended, and I lost it. And I lost it for way under what I was willing to pay. Now, I don't know what the other person was willing to pay. They could have very well overbid me. But I was very disappointed because I had fallen in love with this book. This was the book I was looking for. I just happened to find it in the lot. So then I had to search and search. And then I found it on Amazon through, not the actual Amazon, but when you go down to the bottom, the new and used. And it was actually through a Goodwill. And I had to get it. And then I'm thinking it possibly enabled Emily. I think she might have shown it in her last video. Guys, I'm so behind on Flosstube too. But finally got this book. And I got this all for really one pattern. And guys, again, if you want me to do a flip through, let me know. I'll be glad to do a flip through and show you all the patterns. Just let me know below and I'll do a flip through. I got it for one pattern specifically. It's a Threadwork Primitives. It's called Folk Art Holidays. Bright Be Thy Christmas Tide. Christmas Tide. I fell in love with these salt box houses and the Christmas. I just fell in love with it. When I showed it to Emily, she fell in love with it, and we are starting it, I think, Black Friday. The official start of Christmas season, even though I've already got the Christmas spirit, and I've been watching Hallmark Christmas movies. Because, let's face it, we can all use a little more merry right now. But there this is. It is, I don't know what the fabric's called for. I'm not going to use that. I'm going to do my own threads. I've got to pick it all out myself. So that's what I purchased it for. One of the things I will probably also stitch in it. I love the Santa on the front. But the other one that I absolutely love in this one that I eventually will stitch is Woodland Christmas. Hang on. By Janelle Geese. This reminds me a lot of the Belinda's doing it. The tree, all the different trees. By Rosewood Manor, I can't think of it. Anyway, this one's in here too. This is the Better Home and Gardens Cross Stitch Christmas Handmade Memories. Is the actual one. It is the 2013 edition of this book. There, like I said, there are a ton of other patterns in here. Just let me know if you want to flip through. I also got caught up in another Stitchers destashing group. It's Tracy P. And I got way too much from her. I got this Prairie Moon Noah's Webster. I have already the Noah's Webster 2, so I have both of these editions. Guys, do you see how this looks kind of black and brown? It's not, I don't know, it's not stitched in black and brown. I'm going to have to make Emily help me figure out, because I want it stitched in this black and brown. I like it. It's actually stitched in Weeks Dye Works Peacoat and Merlin, which are kind of blues and purples and greens, which I don't see that at all in this. I mean, this is definitely 310. That's stitched in DMC 310, but these are like supposed to be, I don't know. I'm gonna have to find a really pretty brown. I like the brown, the browny black look. I then got Summer's Last Rose by Blackwood Designs, because I did what Laura and Brenda tell me to, and I'm buying all the black work. Look at that big red house. And then that's Loose Feathers 3rd pattern, and then I've got The Gift is Small Loose Feathers 4th pattern. I really love this little piece right there. It's got some different ones. Look at the bird. Look at the bird. And then I got Leisure Arts 5 Seasons of Quilts. It's called 5 Seasons because you've got the 4 seasons. And then you have Christmas. And guys, that is it as far as haul and stash goes. My husband did get back into, we were looking for frames. We got some frames, and he framed 3 more pieces for me. I'll show them to you. This one was by Ship's Manor. It was not a stitch along, but you got the whole kit. You got the floss, the specialty floss, the button, and then the pattern, and then I chose this fabric. It just says Bloom, and it's got a big button here, and this has actually got enough space in it that we were able to put the button in there without any issue. I don't see how he gets this stuff straight. I'm impressed. Don't break it. They've all been pulling off the wall though. We got to figure out better. We're not wanting to put screws in the walls, but the bigger the pieces get, the less the command hooks hold. Any suggestions out there for you guys? Any from you guys that have lost a hang? He also framed my Prairie Schooler Merry Christmas. I don't think that's what it's called. I call it Merry Christmas. Christmas Eve is the actual pattern name. This is stitched on a LJ fabric, and then the only thing, and they called for DMC, I just changed the words. They're supposed to be in blues, tanned, and like a pink, I think, and I just chose colors from within the pattern. So originally, I wanted to cut this off closer and save the fabric so I could do more ornaments and stuff on it. However, when he framed it, he did it like this to where you could see the fabric because he really liked the fabric, and I kind of like it like this. We can always later on decide to cut it down more if we want to and cut the fabric, but because he didn't cut it at all, it's all underneath here. But who that is. And then last but not least, one that I'm super excited about, we had a hard time finding a frame. This one I actually pinned because he had given up on it. He was like, there's no way I can frame this. I can't get it straight. And it's still a little a little off if you look really, really close. So don't look really, really close because I don't have time for that. And this is the 12 Days of Christmas by Plum Street Samplings. And this is stitched in DMC 115 and then a variegated green, also by DMC. I don't remember the exact number. 310 and then a gold for the rings. I wish now that I had gone through and made all the crowns gold, but I didn't. But I'm not about to change it. See, that's where it's off. That one little square wouldn't come back over this way enough. When I would pull it, it would pull over here in that one corner. But I don't think you really notice it. But I pinned it myself with dressmaker pins into the foam core board. This is the first one that fell. It made a really big noise when it fell. It's just a brown wooden frame that we got at the thrift store. That's where we get most of our frames, from the thrift store. That's everything. That's it. See, I told you, not a whole ton. Not even 30 minutes worth. Like my last video was almost an hour long. And this one's not even half an hour long. But I plan to have more to show you. I plan to buckle down and stitch a lot more. It's probably going to be mostly on the Among Us piece, just because I need to finish it. And I've given myself a deadline, and I'm horrible at that. That's what happens. Most of the time when I give myself a deadline, that's when my stitchy bug goes away. So I'm going to stop thinking about it as a deadline and just stitch on it and have fun, and then I'll have plenty to show you next time. It may be only on that one project though. Guys, I probably won't see you before Thanksgiving, so if you celebrate Thanksgiving, have an amazing Thanksgiving. Stay safe and stay healthy though. And just take care. And as always, happy stitching.